Hey guys, Anthony here. Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. Uh, Communications. One of the email or groups that I belong to, where we go back and forth with different questions and scenarios regarding a grid down type situation. I often talk to um, the members of that group whenever they make certain comments about, okay, if this happens, I'm going to go out and get in my SUV and I'm going to drive X amount of miles and, you know, call my son at my ex-wife's house and tell him I'm on my way to get him, with my cell phone. And I sit there and I listen to to this dialogue, and I try to interject things saying that if the grid was down or goes down and comms is affected, more than likely you're not going to be able to pick up your cell phone, call your ex-wife, who's 30, 40 miles away with that has your son, and tell her you're on your way to get him, or you know make some kind of plans for something. Secondly, odds are, depending on the crisis and how widespread it is, and the timing of when you get in your vehicle, in this case, let's say it's an SUV, to go from point A, 30 miles or so, to point B, what makes you think you're going to arrive at your destination if there's some type of crisis? Because on the way, if your vehicle is even operable, on the way, there can be roadblocks, traffic jams, potential people, nefarious people posing as police or road crew or whoever, and you may never make it to that destination. So don't think that because something happens that all the normal things that we're used to in everyday life are going to carry over into that life. I mean, I haven't done a review on it or talked about it in depth, but the movie that Barack Obama and his wife produced or directed or whatever, um, I'm going to talk about that separately. But, that's a case in point. There's a scene in that movie where they try to go, flee back home from the rental house, and they go to get on the highway, and there's these Tesla vehicles crashing or clogging the whole artery to get onto the highway, and then there's a huge traffic jam of stalled cars or abandoned cars on that roadway. So getting from point A to point B is not going to help. So just having basic communications for your group or your family, or just say you and your wife, just around the neighborhood or around the area, and maybe handing them out to some trusted neighbors, and then you guys can be able to communicate, because obviously this isn't going to be working. And that's where these type of radios come in. Ham radios, two-way radios. This happens to be a Bofang UV5R Plus. They can be had for less than $25. They could be programmed via chirp. You could add, better antennas to them. This is a Nagoya antenna, I believe, that I added to this particular one. But there's others, other type of antennas. I just ordered an antenna I'm going to test out. What's it called? I get the name of it. I always forget while I'm filming. Signal stick. Signal stick antennas they're like $22, and they're supposed to be outstanding. I ordered one about 2 weeks ago. It never arrived. It got lost. I called the company yesterday. We finally come up with a plan. He just sent me out a new one, and he said if the second one comes in the interim, send it back. I told him if it comes in, I'll just pay him for it, because I plan on buying multiple signal sticks, but I wanted to get one first to check it out and see how it worked. So at any rate, having a radio programmed and pre-programmed and ready to go is paramount in the ability to communicate with your loved ones, your group, or whoever in short distances, and in many cases, if there are repeaters up and running, longer distances. So that has to be brought in-house now. You have to have them before the crisis happens. And that's why I wanted to mention that in this video. And people that I interact with, again, are of the thinking that if something happens, everything else is going to be still up and running. You know, there may not be gas stations open. There may not be a place to charge your vehicle if you have an all-electric vehicle. There may not be electricity to charge your vehicle if you have an electric vehicle. There may be nefarious people. Very likely, the longer the event lasts, let's say you're able to leave when it first occurs, you know, that first 24-hour period before things start getting really hectic. And you make it to point B, but now you want to get to point A and it's a day later. Well, getting back to point A, your home point, might not be possible the way you made it there, because now looters are out, nefarious people are out, there's roadblocks, there's, depending on the crisis, the route you've taken may not be available. So do you have secondary comms? Do you have a plan if you did leave your base to take a bag with you, or some type of get-home bag or bug-out bag or survival cache bag, attaché, whatever it is, to sustain you in the area that you just fled to or drove to? And then in closing this video, do you have extra items for the radio to make it transmit a further distance? And I'm just talking, this is a basic radio. You know, you're talking without a repeater, you're talking, you know, half a mile, 2 miles, depending on the terrain, where you live, etc. But with a secondary antenna like this, this is a 511 6x6 pouch I've had for years, and I have in it a roll-up antenna they call a J-pole. Okay, and that's in here with some other items like cordage. There's a weight in here, so I could take that antenna, throw it over a tree branch, you know, hoist it up, hook the cable to the antenna port on this radio. So I remove this antenna, hook the other port from the J-pole antenna in this bag to that radio, and now I've increased the range of this radio, not only for me to talk on and get a signal out, but now to listen. Maybe I could gather intelligence that I wouldn't be able to pick up with the regular antenna that was on here. And so now I've increased my chances of knowing what's going on, because you know, the radios might be down, TVs might be down, or the news that's getting out, I want to hear maybe on the ground news what's really going on, and that's what you'll hear when you listen in with a better reception. So that's just what I wanted to talk about today in this video. Is preparations have to be made prior to the event happening, whatever that is, whether it's having cash, food, water, communications, medical supplies, first aid, prescription meds, food for your pets. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Flashlights, batteries, self-defense tools, knives, ability to make a fire, ability to cook if your electric stove is down. Think of the things you do every day, and then say, how could I do these things if power was cut off, if communications was cut off? Play make-believe. You know, like you did as a kid. Play make-believe. And then try it even sometimes. Try going without power, try going missing meals. I often do it. I try to miss meals a lot lately to see how my body reacts and how I function with less calories in me. Because there might become a time where I have to ration food or might not have enough food to eat. So these scenarios you have to play out and you have to think about. In the type of world that we're living and what they're projecting through Hollywood, through movies, through predictive programming, through what our politicians are saying, through what the news media is saying, to what different countries are doing in the world, how these world conflicts are taking place and being structured. What is the end result going to be? That's how you have to think. What's my life going to be like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Am I going to own nothing and be happy, like they're telling me? Am I going to be eating bugs? Am I going to have the ability to have cash, or is everything going to be digital? Am I going to have a social credit system, or is it going to be like it is now? So that's the video, just to get you thinking. That's why I do a lot of these videos, to think, to feel, and to act. Not saying that I've 100% ready for anything, because I don't think any of us are ready for what's coming in 2024. And I'll do other videos on that. Thanks for watching. Stay ready.